Hey, what's up? I'm back. Same shirt, different video. So, I want to talk about building a list. And a lot of people just, I've had clients say, like, oh, why don't you get a list from here, a list from there? Um, and it's, with the idea of it's all the same. I had a client said, like, I have a list for this niche that I want to target, send it to me, and like 20% of them are good. And he spent a ton of money on them. So, this is an example of unless you're doing the thing, if you're running a business, you can't be on top of every single little thing. And when it comes to technology, things change so quickly. And so if you're going to do this on your own, the best way to go about it is do a lot of research. If you don't have the time to research, quite frankly, it's better off having someone in your organization do it that maybe is like you're paying them full time, but they got some more time on their schedule, or just pay for it, quite frankly, because it's just not going to be worth it. So for your time, especially if you're a business owner. So the first part is that if there's a couple companies out there, I'm not going to name them, that are insanely expensive. It's insane. Um, Hence insanely. Totally nuts, out of control pricing. Um, just fact of the matter. The reason why I feel very comfortable getting on a sales call is because I know that what I provide is worth more than what I charge. So, just how it is, it's really simple. I don't know how some of these companies get away with it. And these large companies pay it because they have huge budgets. But it's unbelievable. So let's talk about it. First of all, you need to understand who your target prospect is. That sounds like a no-brainer. But there's a couple of things to think about that. So most businesses that have been operating for, let's just say, 10 years, at least the ones that I speak to, they have been, they initially did some outreach, got some clients, and a lot of their customers or clients are now referrals, but they want to grow the business more. And so they need to get more clients through cold traffic. And so since they've been getting a lot of referrals, they have their existing clientele and their image of them. If they in their mind aggregate what those potential customers are, and then they say, well, that's who we want to target on cold outreach. And there's nothing wrong with that, except there might be more. So there might be a potential client out there that you just can't picture in your head. You don't have them as a client, but they might be like a perfect fit. They might be the best possible client for you, but you just haven't serviced that niche yet. Okay. So my suggestion is you just sit down with a piece of paper and just brainstorm different angles of your service. And then from there, do some research and try to figure out, this is what I do, figure out what other possible companies could be prospects for you. Okay, so let's just say you have a list of certain companies that you think could benefit from your service. Then from there, you're going to think about, like, who are the people that are going to be involved or can pass on your information to somebody else that will be interested in that company, reaching back out to you and saying, hey, let's talk. Okay, so a lot of times people say, well, maybe it's the CMO, maybe it's the CEO. And those are great targets, but there might be a branch of other people. And so while you send to a particular company, and you oftentimes might think, like, I'm just going to target this one person, but you might be able to target 5 people, okay, out of that list in that company, and hit them with different kind of ideas. Or you can run different campaigns, different copy, different messaging based on the position. Now that takes a fair amount of work, but it's definitely possible. Okay. So you got the companies. What types of companies? You're going to brainstorm that. You're going to brainstorm the titles. Okay. And then the next part is, where are you going to get the data? So I've got data through Google for companies, meaning I've done some wizardry to get that data. I've gotten data from general list providers. I've gotten data through some kind of different angles, ways to get that. It just depends on who you're targeting specifically. So each niche, each industry might have a specific target. Okay. Depending on what your service is, there will be a pain point. Well, this will get into copy of what you want to say, but the target list building mechanism, you also want to take into consideration what is it that they need. So, for example, if you are a company that provides a service, whether it's software or just direct person-to-person service, that is helpful for tech companies that are trying to grow, or any company that's trying to grow, okay? There are some signals that you can look at when you go to build a list that will help you identify some other people, companies that might need that service. And you can create a list based on certain signals where your service addresses the pain point. So that is something to think about. It's not just, let's just get a list of small to medium-sized companies, the CMO and the CEO, and that's what we're going to send to. You can do it, and you can get clients that way. But we want to have a methodical approach here of what we're doing. After you get, let's just say you have a spreadsheet of names, company, locations, title, email. You can't just run that, okay? You're going to have to verify that. There's a couple different companies, a few different companies that do that. You're going to need to verify your email. There's a cost associated with that. It's not super crazy, but you have to verify those emails. The other thing is that if you have an old list, so I have an old list that I haven't sent to, I just pulled it while I could because there's kind of a window there where I was a little concerned that list was going to kind of go away. And so I pulled that list, like 26,000 people. And that's in one spreadsheet. And that's from September, October. If I'm going to run that list now, if I'm going to target that list, which I'm actually going to send for someone this following month, I'm going to re-verify it. And the reason why is people change jobs. So people change jobs, and you want to make sure that you're not sending to emails that don't exist. If you are sending to emails that don't exist, which this will be later conversation about technology stack, you want to make sure that your bounce rate's 3% or lower. The second it gets over 3%, you got to pause it. So you just have to stay on top of that. I have a automated system that I've set up that will pause it automatically if it reaches over a certain bounce rate. So that's something you want to think about. And so also with verification, you want to remember that this may not be intuitive, but depending on the niche. So if you think about this, if I have a list of 1,000 people, I have run verifications, and that verification has returned 70% being this works, this email exists, and this software will send an email, get it back, and make sure that doesn't bounce. So they know that it's an active email. I've also done that, and it's been 15%. That's a really big difference. What's the difference? The difference is the industry. So each industry is going to have generally a different type of verification percentage range, because if you think about it, is this the type of industry where people tend to stick for a long period of time, or a fairly long period of time? Let's just say a year or more. Or is this an industry where people are kind of coming in and out pretty quick? And if they're coming in and out pretty quick, the second they leave, they're going to take over the email, or they're going to kill the email inbox, and your verification on the big list will go down. So you want to think about that just from the perspective of understanding your TAM and your expectations of how many people you're going to be able to send to with an active email. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Later.